And today's guest is Derrick Miles, the author of Superhuman Performance and Superhuman Performance 2, subtitled Utilizing Your Gifts to Perform at Extraordinary Levels. Now, please join us to welcome Mr. Derrick Miles. Hi, Derrick. Welcome.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm encouraged to be here, and thank you for having me.
Yeah, you're the man of the encourager, right?
So, that's right. That recognizes my gift that God has given me to give other people the courage to pursue their dreams, their destinies, and everything that lies in their hearts.
That's great. I mean, we are blessed to know that what our life purpose are and what's our destiny and what we should, pursue. But there are many, many more people who are not sure of their life purpose or who are lost. So I think it's us to get together to help them, right?
That's correct. That's my assignment in life is to help people understand that, first there was a problem in the universe, and then God created people to solve those particular problems, and He knows how people are. We're full of self-doubt. We don't think we can complete the assignment that He puts in our hearts. So He had to give us all different sets of gifts so that we can complete those assignments. So my role is to help people understand those gifts so they can start walking in their destiny, their assignment, and their ultimately, to complete their dreams that lies in their hearts.
Yeah, and I know, myself that how joyful actually I get so much satisfaction and happiness by helping other people to find their life purpose and find the better, happier life. And but before we start, getting into that more detail, I want to know, I think a lot of our listeners want to know about your childhood and what your childhood dream were and what kind of a child you were to become like someone like you now.
Well, that's a great question. When I was growing up, like most people, they thought about becoming a doctor and an executive, and I moved into those realms pretty quickly once I finished undergrad and went to graduate school. I never had any idea that I would have a career actually speaking to people on a daily basis and how to utilize their gifts and their talents to accomplish their ultimate destiny. Like most people, I was running after money, so I was an executive for 12 years, and we moved all over the country so that I could provide a comfortable lifestyle for my family. I just have to mention this: I was miserable. Had multiple homes, big cars, and stuff like that. And then one day, I took my oldest son, whose name is Devin, to lunch. And I said, Devin, do you remember when we lived in Texas? And everything is big in Texas. I said, we had this huge home, had a movie theater in it and everything. And he's like, Dad, I don't really remember that house. I said, you don't? I says, no. He says, the only thing that I really remember about Texas is when you took me to Six Flags. So from that conversation, it started to change in my mindset. I said, well, from the world standpoint, people thought I was successful because I had a lot of things. So my son, he didn't see that as success. To him, success was me spending time with him. So I was thinking to myself, I say, so all these years, people have told me to go to school and get this great education and make a lot of money, but to my kids, that wasn't success to him. So as a father and a husband, I realized that my first ministry is to my family. So I really started changing my entire mindset and making sure that I would be able to bring them up to understand their relationship with God. And really at an early age, even at 9 years old, my son knows at least two of his gifts that he's going to use for the rest of his life. So that's in a nutshell of how I grew up and the wrong ladder that I put on a building, chasing money and what I thought was success, and to where I am today, understanding that I have an ultimate gift to help other people, give them the courage to pursue their dreams and their destiny and all the desires that lies in their hearts.
Yeah, isn't the life interesting? Things work out, somewhere just a totally unexpected place and time. It changes you. You become a different person. So.
And a much happier person. I mean, I'm nowhere close to, I would say, And one thing I understand is that I thought it was security and working in a job like that because of the money, but it was no security. The only security is in our relationship with Christ Jesus, and what He's shown me over these last 13, 14 months is that the security is in Him. So everything that we put together with Milestone and understanding that He's behind it, and if it's His will, it's His bill, and that's the thing that we have realized in this business. Everything that we've needed from a financial standpoint presented itself. I mean, companies that are stepping up and say, "Hey, Derrick, we will donate this database, and we will donate this," and we never would have gotten to where we were if we didn't remain steadfast and move on this journey of our assignment. So.
Yeah, does your son know what kind of impact he made on you, and how you changed from that conversation? Does he know about that?
He does, because I tell him about it quite often. It's about once a month I let him know about that, and we have a friend here in North Carolina that also has a radio station, and it impacted him because he was very, very similar, much more successful than me. If you look at it from the world standpoint, and the world looks at it from accumulation of wealth and accumulation of things. So if you look at it from that standpoint, the world standpoint, he was more successful, and he has a radio show, and he brings it up all the time because he was in a similar situation, and now his life has been changed. And so my son gets an opportunity to hear that quite often.
Wow, great. That's great. And now, to our topic of the talk, and you said that get their mojo back. You want to help people get their mojo back, M-O-J-O back.
Yeah.
And first of all, what is M-O-J-O, mojo?
Mojo is like a short for motivation. It's an abbreviated form for motivation, and so they just call it mojo here in the States. So what happened during the downturn?
Motivation? How do you come up with the motivation with the M-O-J-O?
Yeah, it's just no one says moto. They just say mojo. How to get your mojo back. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
I got it.
What happened in the downturn in the economy here in the United States is 10 to 12 million people got laid off, and when those 10 to 12 million people got laid off, a lot of people lost their mojo. So some people actually got divorced from their husband and their wives because the money started going down. There were other people who actually went into states of depression, not only just normal depression, but went into manic depressions and had to be admitted to psychiatric hospitals. And it's also unfortunate that some people even took their lives because they lost a job. And I was one of those people who lost a job, but because I had already started working on my business and I knew what my life's purpose was, it didn't impact me the same way. I knew that I had a greater purpose. So we wanted to come up with a campaign to let other people know that irrespective of you losing a job, you also have a gift inside of you, and that gift is going to allow you to accomplish the ultimate assignment on your life because, again, we all have a purpose for being here, but when you look at corporations today, there are a couple studies that were done, and some, I would say, conservative numbers is that 75% of people who go to work in the United States today don't want to be there. And of that 75%, there's a small percentage, 16%, are what they call actively disengaged individuals. And these people don't want to be there, but they let you know they don't want to be there. And these are the individuals who are playing solitaire and Farmville on the office time. But that small percentage constitutes $350 billion in lost productivities to U.S. corporations on an annual basis. So my brother and I got together, and he's a little under the weather tonight, so he couldn't be with us. We said, well, if it costs U.S. corporations $350 billion in lost productivity, what if we came up with a program to help improve the performance of the individuals so they start moving in the areas of their gifting, and that what brings the joy, the happiness, and the fulfillment. And when these people start performing at a higher level, the productivity of the corporation begins to go up. So we said, yes, let's do that. So we went into the Bible, and we understood that we identified 28 gifts in the Bible. But then we said, well, in the marketplace, there are certain gifts that are relative to the marketplace, working in business, in industry, in commerce. So we started with the gift of administration, and we kept going with the gift of craftsmanship, art, the gift of discernment. My brother is called Mr. Discernment because it recognizes his gift of discernment. Encouragement, I'm known as the encourager, which recognizes my gift of encouragement. Then there's gifts of faith. There's gifts of giving. In our book, there's an individual by the name of Fred Fisher, and he gave the University of Florida like $7 million, and he said it was a gift on his spirit that he was able to give. Excuse me?
I think we have to take a break and continue the talk when we come back. Welcome back. You're listening to Jin Robertson at American Dreams. The sky is the limit. For those who are just joining us, we are sharing the wisdom of Derrick Miles, the encourager. Welcome back, Derrick.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, so what you were sharing just before the break was so amazing and so interesting. So could you continue about this, helping others, helping people to get their mojo back?
Absolutely. Yeah, I was talking about the 14 gifts there, so I kind of stopped at the gift of giving. So the gift of giving is a gift that God gives to certain individuals that they can give back into the body to help other people. So I was talking about one of my mentors, whose name is Fred Fisher, and he was able to help the University of Florida. And also Peter Daniels, who's also a well-known motivational speaker out of Australia, is in the book. And from giving, we go into the gifts of faith, and then there's helps, and there's hospitality, a gift, which is a very, I would say, needed gift. We have some friends here in North Carolina. Whenever we need to put something together, we always call on them because we know they have that gift of hospitality. And then what from my research shows that people with the gift of hospitality do extremely well in jobs that are related to customer service. So we also have a CD with a young lady by the name of Jeanne Mahomes. It's a 45-minute CD where she talks about the gift of hospitality and how she created this company that is, light years ahead of all the competition as far as customer service. After hospitality, there's a gift called knowledge and leadership. Leadership, we have feedback from Ken Blanchard as well as Pat Williams, who's the senior vice president over the Orlando Magic. Then we go into the gift of mercy/compassion. Then teaching. People are teaching, but do they have a teaching gift? Do they have the gift to go into the classroom and effectively raise the next generation? Then there's a gift of wisdom, and then we finish up the book with the gift of writing. So that's the 14 gifts of superhuman performance.
Wow. And can you give a kind of, real-world example of someone discovering their gift because of those gifts and the impact it had on their lives?
Hey, yes, I can. The person that we always like to bring up is George Foreman, the George Foreman Grill. But most people don't know that George never really wanted to sell that grill. So it was his wife. His wife said, George, I think you should sell that grill. And George goes back and says, you know what? They're not paying me any money on the front end to sell that grill. She says, George, that grill works. I think you need to endorse that grill. And because his love for his wife and knowing that she had a gift of discernment, which is one of the 14 gifts, says, okay, I'll sell the grill. And now here he is today after 110 million grills sold, and he has 200 cars in the garage. So there's many stories similar to that in the book of how people were like certain stages of their life, and they started utilizing a specific gift, and that gift made room for them.
Wow. So, that I understand that your company has partnered with, as you mentioned earlier, about all those, corporate to provide free tools to help people get their mojo back. But while you're doing that, what do you think frustrates leaders the most about employees, and what would you recommend them to mitigate their frustrations?
Wow, I love that question because as a former executive, I tell you the thing that really frustrated me is that when you give someone an assignment and they're struggling to get it completed. But what I've noticed in my last executive position, I'm like, hold up a second. These guys are not gifted in the area that I need them to do work. And I realized shortly after that they were gifted in the area of craftsmanship and art. So I started to move them into the areas that they were gifted. And then all of a sudden, I saw superhuman performance out of these guys. So my recommendation is for each corporation that they should take the Milestone Marketplace Gift Assessment so that you can put the people in the positions that they're gifted to do the work. I mean, some people say you should, mitigate your weaknesses, but I say you should accentuate your strengths, because when you're working in the area of your weakness, it frustrates you. Something that should take only seconds takes you hours because you're not gifted in that area. So another thing that we recommend, if you have someone who's gifted in an area and you're not gifted in it, you farm that work out. Case in point, that's what we do with our corporation. So if we need anything from a branding standpoint, I'm not gifted in craftsmanship or art. So as a company in Atlanta, Georgia, I push everything to them. And guess what? I get to speak, which is my gift, and they get to do the craftsmanship art type of thing. And we're both happy. And when the product comes out, we haven't wasted any time.
Yeah, that's a very good idea. And, actually, before the break, you were talking about, getting their mojo back after their job loss. And the job loss could be considered like, the blessing in disguise.
Yes.
Because as you said, so many people are at their job which they don't like, and they are not talented, and they are just struggling, or just they are passing time to make money, and the hurting the owners or employers at the same time, and hurting the co-workers at the same time. So but they don't have a courage to leave the job because of security issues.
That's right.
So if they lose the job, or not on their own decision, but that's the time they can really start out into the field where they love, to do.
Yes, absolutely.
I was. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
That's exactly what happened to me. Once I lost that job, I was able to do what was on my heart and what was in my spirit that I've always really wanted to do, but just was something that was keeping me with the security of the comfort of a particular job, not pursuing the destiny in my heart. And I tell you, being on both sides, this side is 100% better. Yeah.
And did you publish your books through the publisher or self-publish?
Well, what we did is we created a publishing company because when I was coming back from the Ukraine, there was a company in Tampa, Florida called TV Goods, and they heard about our book probably because George Foreman is in the book and he works with TV Goods, and they asked us did we want to sell the book on television. So as a result of being able to sell the book on television, we started our own publishing company because we liked our platform, and we're going to have different authors that come behind us utilizing the same platform. And I'll tell you, that platform is where you come up with a need, and instead of trying to attack that need with one author, you have the author to write the book, and you bring in many different sides so that everyone who reads the book can see themselves. So my brother and I have 6 gifts, but we understood that we couldn't reach everyone just talking about 6 gifts. So we reached out to top executives, entrepreneurs, celebrities, and faith-based leaders to help us reach everyone. So it's our hope in the book that everyone who picks it up can see themselves, and we're just going to continue that platform. So irrespective of who writes the book, it'll be something in there for everyone.
My book, Major Dream, from Immigrant Housemaid to Harvard Ph.D., I decided to go with the Create Space, for self-publishing too, and it's coming out in a couple of weeks.
Is it? Oh, so, wow.
Yeah, I am so interested in your marketing strategies and all that stuff.
Well, you know what? The marketing strategies, I tell you, you probably can tell I'm a very faith-based guy. Everything came from above, and everything that, just like in Proverbs 18:16 says, a man's gift will make room for him and bring him before a great man. So once I started, can't wait for people to read this. Once I started utilizing my gift, all of the obstacles started moving out of the way, and everyone who I needed to show up showed up. I'll give you 2 case in point just recently. I said, a guy said, we really like the people that you have in this book. You guys need to start a speakers bureau. So I'm just sitting on my computer one night. This guy gets in contact with me that's in a speakers bureau. And we go and have lunch, and he gives me all the information to start a speakers bureau, and he tells me he would run it for me. Like, wow. Then we're getting ready to say, well, I need to do more interviews on television. And a guy just calls me up out of the blue. He says, hey, my name is Stephen Walker. I'm at Fox 50. Let's have breakfast. I had breakfast with him today, and we're setting up a strategy to work with a national firm to launch the pre-order campaign for Superhuman Performance. So the Bible says that God is no respecter of person. So what He's done for us, He will do for someone else. But you have to use that gift.
Wow. Yeah, I need to tap into that gift too. Yeah, because I've got so many messages, and as you can see, that I had an interview, wonderful interview with you on your radio talk show too. That's how we met, and so I just love to share. And I'm right now in Korea and giving a lot of speeches, and I had one speech yesterday, and I have 2 speeches today, and I have 2 more speeches tomorrow, and just down the road, I've got a lot of speeches, lined up, and so many people get encouragements and hope, and I'm working like an encourager in Korea right now. But,
is that right?
Yeah. But in America, they call me, my nickname is Hope Messenger, and that's what they call me. Yes. Hope Messenger sounds so, Christian. But, but anyway, so I'm ready to do that in the world, and I just gave a talk in Hawaii, in front of 1,200 people. And in front of a governor, and there was major success, and so I'm ready to do all those, and the book's coming out, and so exciting. But I'm so excited to talk to you, and at the same time, the time is running out, looks like. So before you go, though, would you share, tell our listeners how they can find out more about you and the Superhuman Performance training tools?
Yes, actually, they can go to our website. It's milestonemotivation.com, and what you'll be able to see there is that we do trainings in corporations, so we can help corporations as well as some associations to assess their employees so they can get the highest level of performance out of them so that they can ultimately improve their productivity, make more widgets, and produce more money for the bottom line of their corporation. So that's milestonemotivation.com, and on that page you can pre-order the books for Superhuman Performance and take advantage of the $2,000 in complimentary tools to help people get their mojo back.
Wow, that sounds great, and looks like that's the time we have to say bye for now. And then when I go back to North Carolina, maybe we can get together for more detailed talk.
And thank you so much for having me.